All right, here we go. Stocks by the numbers. Welcome back. Just wanted to do a really quick stock update for three names that we've been watching that, in my opinion, are setting up nicely or, of course, are performing well. First company, Lithium Americas Corporation, symbol LAC, listed here on the New York. This is one that went underneath the radar. Again, we did the spinoff. We spoke about the spinoff coming out as lithium prices were near highs, and as lithium prices began to fall, they dropped all of these miners, all of these lithium companies down to lows, as you see here, $2 a share. Then we got the news of the DOE loan, about 2.2 or 4 billion, I don't recall exactly, but something like that. And we saw the spike up to 5. We come back down to the low 2s, we hang out, and then boom, we get the news that Trump takes the stake. And basically, we've been hearing that with a few other companies as well, right? MP Materials, I'm sure you guys have been seeing the news. So again, what it goes back to is my original theory towards the beginning of the year under the Trump administration, that you definitely want, in my opinion, I stated multiple times, you want domestic and American technology, materials, metals, minerals. That's where the value is. Basically trying to limit our dependency on China and other countries as well. And lithium, we know this timeline is approaching now, basically inside of the next 12 months with LAC. And hopefully, as we said, that as we get updates of the timeline moving along swimmingly, hopefully, with no hiccups, those will be the catalysts to continue to climb this up. I think, again, conservatively 20, because that'll bring us up to 5 billion. Again, we're at 2.5 billion. I mean, that's essentially what the loan was for, right? And then you have to put value on the company and their assets, and then you have to put some value on the actual resource in the ground, right? So that's why, even if you say fair value about 2.5 billion, again, to 2x that 5 billion, 20 a share, I think that's very conservative, and I think we could see it even before they start mining. And of course, again, they are supposedly slated to be the largest lithium producer in the country here domestically. So if that is going to happen, even over the longer term, obviously if you want to hold for many years, then you could potentially see bigger and better things. But I just wanted to do an update because we saw a big volume today. We saw new highs. During regular hours, we hit 1011. You can see after hours here, 1034. 1034 was the high after hours, and we kind of continue to step up and stay up here, as you see. Stock right now 991, but volume was basically 2x average. You can see average volume now up to over 64.5 million shares a day. Traded almost 134 million shares today on LAC. So the word is out, the value is coming in, the volume is coming in, and people want to be a part of it as they get into again, the big events coming down on the timeline here. Hydrograph, HG on the Canadian, and again, HGRAF on the OTC for us here in the States. But HG here, we can see 293 Canadian, up almost half a point, 18.5% day. Saw some nice volume here above average, 1.5 million average volume. Today we saw 1.8 million. And again, we have a market cap here about 800 million in change, we can call it. So even conservatively, we could easily get to 1 billion in my opinion. And again, that's being very conservative. But also, these were the trend lines. If you recall, we came down, see how we were like bouncing here, and I drew out a bunch of these trend lines going across here. If we pull back this chart, and I know it's all tiny now, but yeah. So if we pull back this chart, right, this was the high that we saw when we really went parabolic and the word got out, right? And this is where we hit 372 right here, mid-August 18th. Right? And then we came down, we flattened out, came back up. You can see I have this trend line coming down across from that high. It's coming down right there, September 24th, when we spiked back up to almost $3 Canadian. And that's this line coming down across, right? And you can see that we just got up above. That is top line resistance, right? That is top line resistance. We can even look at it on HGRAF. Again, 210, shout out to Nick, mentioned 210 was a key level for HGRAF. That's exactly where the stock closed, and even got up to 212 before closing at 210. So again, we may be on the up and up we have this other high right here, 216. So hopefully we can just jump up and get right above that level and not form that double top. And we can just keep stepping again, because we're seeing like this curl right to a new high. And then you see like this curl here to a higher high. You know what I'm saying? So it looks like it's on the up and up. And on HGRAF here again, this looks like one of the trend lines. I could redraw it on HGRAF. I have them better drawn out on HG, but you can see this trend line here would be 6 American, right? So you're talking about a 200% move from here after the run. But if we come back to HG, and again, you can do the conversion rate quickly, right? But you can see these trend lines. I have this trend line coming across the bottoms, right? This one across these bottoms. So I have a couple of extra trend lines on HG, because when we watch it on stream, HG is in real time and HGRAF is an OTC stock. So the quotes are 15 minutes delayed. So the conversion rate is a pain in the ass, but on stream, I watch HG because it's in real time and it's going to dictate what HGRAF does, 15 minutes later. But, you can easily do the conversion rate. But again, you can see if we come up to this trend line here, now that we're above resistance, we're talking 5, 5 1/4, 5 1/3 Canadian, which is what, 4? I mean, this is coming across, this is going from the low on August 26th across the bottoms on the 3rd. Let me see something. Oh, shit. This. Okay. That's that one. That's that one right there. So that's 103. Yeah. See, and that was coming up like there. That's a perfect trend line, actually. You can see that's technically above. And how about if we do this? 103. And if we come up like there. And again, these are all going to be different levels that the stock's going to have to get above, and it's going to start bouncing off of. You see, you watch. You guys know I know what I'm talking about. But again, if we curl up here, you can see this would be a new high. And on HGRAF, you're talking about 3 1/4. That's what I mean. So we're looking at potentially 3+ incoming, which is 50+% from here on HGRAF American. And also we can see potentially 5+ Canadian. And as we know, as it breaks up, and if it really starts to chunk up, like if all of a sudden, this goes to like 2.5 and then, $3 and it chunks up to new highs, we know that it's going to be trending. People are going to read the news. If something comes out, we might find out something's going on, and then people are going to jump in because of the FOMO. But of course, again, the long-term story, in my opinion, really does sound phenomenal. And I know people, after they missed the pump, they were like, oh, well, the Chinese might be able to figure something out, blah, blah, blah. And listen, I appreciate that. And you are being realistic. But also at the same time, I go by the motto, it's not an issue until it's an issue, really, right? Just like when we spoke about DraftKings recently, shout out to the crew who jumped in some DraftKings calls recently. As we started to drop, I was saying this is extreme, and if you can jump in DraftKings here, we should start to see this U-turn recovery pretty quickly, because another company randomly started doing parlays, right? So should they have dropped the stock? Did some people maybe get nervous and jump out in size? Yeah, kind of understandable. But as I keep saying on stream, until, we see over the next 1-2 quarters, DraftKings revenue all of a sudden is missing the mark and dwindling because they're losing market share, right? Until we see that, then it's technically not a negative. It's just not. And that's why, again, I stick to that, my motto. It's not a problem until it's a problem, right? And something, again, like DraftKings, perfect example. If we start to see them losing market share, them losing revenue, then it's a problem, right? And they were right to begin with, and now you got to stay away, right? So That's the way I look at it. But shout out to, I believe this was Nick as well, who posted this. And this is coming from HGRAF, posting a plaque of a rep in Texas, as you see here. I think there's something brewing, guys. What do you think this means? Post from the CEO. It was a post from the CEO, and that was, yeah, like an hour ago or something. So it's very interesting that we had a little bit of volume come in. We had a nice bump day here. We got up to like a key level here on the fib. Right near the fib, you can see on HG, we got up above 210 on HGRAF. Again, shout out to Nick, letting us know that's a key level. And, you know, it's very interesting. Now we get this random picture. So people are speculating that some big announcement may potentially be coming with Hydrograph. So just putting that out there, just wanted to update everybody. We spoke about LAC, we spoke about Hydrograph. There was one, and MBOT. I just wanted to show you guys the chart on MBOT very quickly. Because again, when we first got news of dilution, right, I was looking down here, and I crunched the numbers, and I was saying technically the stock could come down to this trend line, you know, 267 roughly. And again, it tried to hold 3, as we were talking about recently on stream, and then we had a big rejection. And I was saying that now, because we're holding and we're going to break this line later, you know, now your bottom could be, again, 277, 280, as opposed to 267, right? So we came down, boom, we came down basically right to the line. Again, I have it at 277 on my screen right here. And you can see on the top left, the low was 278. So it came essentially right, almost to the penny, right to my line. And then we saw a little bit of a bounce here, and you can see a close 288, up a couple of cents after hours. So kind of right around here, I like it. And I think it's kind of on sale. I do think it's kind of on sale. And even if we do have a break, and it happens to chunk down here to this line, let's say 240, obviously, again, you know, if I like it in the high 2s, I'll like it even more in the low 2s. But even after this run and this sell-off, you know, sitting here in the high 2s, about $3 a share, I mean, again, 130 million market cap. 130 million market cap. Announced a partnership, U.S. logistics company for its Liberty system. Partnership supports commercialization of Liberty system. Limited market release set for Q4 25. Q4 25. Broader launch plan for April 2026. April 2026 at a major conference. Logistics partner specializes in medical device industry. Beautiful. Strategic warehouse location to meet demand efficiently. Cream's rising to the top now. And of course, we have an offering, 14.7 million shares. I am not sure if this is new or if this was one of the planned offerings that we read of last time. I'm sorry, I didn't really look into it. My apologies. But hypothetically, even if this is roughly new shares, we're talking about roughly about 10% of shares. If this is new, again, my apologies. But, because last time we spoke about the offering that they were doing, and it seemed like they were essentially almost doubling the float. So we were near about 100 million shares. So if this is hypothetically a new 14 million shares, right, then it's like 10, 15%. And I personally had value at 267. So if that is another 10%, that would bring us to about 240. So we could see a drop. Again, I'm sorry, I'm not as sharp as I should be because I don't recall if we knew about these 14 million shares or if this is a new 14 million. But honestly, either way, I really like it here at around this line. Again, 267, 270 level. I really like it. And if it does happen to break, it really should hold this roughly 240 level. And if it does start to break and head towards this line, in my opinion, I'd be all over it. That's just me. In my opinion, I'd be all over it. And that's why I say, again, sometimes you got to deal with the short-term volatility to lock in the long-term growth, right? And we get an announcement, then you have people selling the news, and, then we issue some shares and we go down, but then we bounce back to a line, and then we get another announcement, we come back up here to this line, you know what I'm saying? So you got to play those pops and drops, but overall, I do still like it, and it sounds like we're moving along swimmingly. Again, we secured a logistics partner, as they said, commercialization of the Liberty system looking to come online soon, and again, even here at these levels, I know we originally spoke about it at $1. It's still up at $3, so I know you may feel like you missed it. But again, market cap, 130 million. 130 million currently. So again, even if we drop down a little bit here, 100 million, and then, it should really start to bounce. Again, we had a big pop to start the year, and you can see it's just been on the up and up. Holding's been very strong, going on 10 straight months now. So the choice is yours, but I did want to do an update and just point out that trend line to you guys. But that's it. I'm going to end it there. Once again, Stocks by the Numbers. Thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky, they're volatile, and they're very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.